Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of the Marketing Guides for Small Businesses podcast. I'm your host today, Ken Tucker of Changescape Web. I'm joined by Paul Barthel and Ian Cantle. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to be here for sure. This is part 4 of a series of things that have been bugging us in terms of marketing stuff. And I saw a great post from Neil Patel earlier this week, and I want to start out with that. Basically, this is something that I think drives all of us nuts, is that, people never have the right expectations. And I don't expect that because, they're misled by other people, or they just don't have the experience. But there's a healthy amount of skepticism when you tell people this and they just don't believe it. Neil Patel is one of the most credible sources out there, in my opinion. And so when it comes to search engine optimization, it takes an average of 6 months to rank on the first page of Google for a new page. Now, I think that can be pretty optimistic, actually, in terms of time frame. You have to build the right page the right way. It has to have the right content. You have to have done the competitive analysis to make sure that the page is going to be able to get there. Um, so I think that's really interesting. I know we've talked on this show about the importance of like A/B testing and conversion rate optimization. He's saying that if a page doesn't have at least 1,000 visitors per month, you're not getting statistically significant results. Um, I don't know that that means that you still don't want to do it, but again, I think we need to level set people's expectations. Some of this stuff, while it's important, it may not give them the best results, or give them results in the time frame that they expect, and we need to get those levels set. The last thing is paid media. So if you're going to do online ads or paid campaigns, you need to be spending probably a couple of $1,000s a month. Again, most of our clients are not going to be at that level, but I think planning on spending $1,000 a month on paid ads at a minimum is a pretty valid number for many of the businesses we work with. I just wanted to get that out there because I think it's really important for people. You can seriously underspend on advertising, and if you do that, you're going to walk away saying, "Yeah, I spent all this money on Google," which may seem like a lot of money to you, but cumulatively. But if it's not enough money to actually drive the results that are necessary to move the needle, there is a point of diminishing returns, and there's a breaking point where you're going to get considerably better returns, and people need to realize that. And it's one of the most frustrating things that I think we deal with. Paul, Ian, you guys have any thoughts on any of these?
I do, and nobody's gonna like it. So start with the first one. That's an average. I hate averages because that really depends on the industry and the competitiveness of the market you're in.
And the keyword you're going after.
Exactly, and that goes back to competitiveness. You may never rank on the first page, or it may take you 3-4 years to rank on the first page, and a lot of that comes back. I don't want to get too deep in the woods here. Comes back to the expertise, authority, trust, and experience. Now they've added that, but it comes down to how credible does Google think your website is, and that is a whole other area of SEO. And the paid media, especially if we're talking about Google Ads, Google is really using, and has been for quite some time, artificial intelligence for everything, and it's driving their algorithms. And in order for the AI, for Google's AI to optimize your campaign, because there's certain things you can do manually, but it's becoming driven more and more by artificial intelligence, and that requires data. And in order for you to get that data, you have to spend money. And if Google's AI algorithm doesn't have enough data, it cannot optimize or effectively optimize your campaigns. And if you don't spend enough money every month, it will never have enough data to really optimize that campaign. So if your competitors are spending significantly more money than you, you kind of don't have a chance.
Yeah, and I would add in there, Facebook, the conventional wisdom right now is that Facebook needs $40 a day ad spend to be able to have enough information for its algorithms to kick in and optimize. And that's really what, these platforms want to do. They're trying to make this as smart and deliver the best quality results as possible. We still have to have experts monitor and manage and review what's going on, but those are the thresholds that we're really looking at now. And again, I think if you combine Facebook ads with Google ads, you're talking about a couple of $1,000s a month, like Neil says.
Yeah, and again, AI requires data, and to get data requires ad spend. And I
Yep.
don't mean $50 a month.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you're saying, Paul. I totally agree with what you said about SEO. I think averages are extremely misleading, and that it's entirely up to your competitive landscape, as well as where you are today from an SEO standpoint. If you're starting from ground zero, then it's a different equation. And if there's competition that have been there for several years that have garnered those page one keywords, then it's going to take more to de-seat them, especially if they not deceive them, but to de-seat them from position number one, than it is if you're in a very small marketplace, nobody's really put any effort into it. That's why you guys do the same thing as we do when we're bringing on new clients. When we're creating an SEO strategy, we're comparing what the competitive landscape is so that we can understand like who are the people, what businesses are in position number one right now that we have to remove from that seat or rise above them, because we need to send all the right signals that you talked about with the Google Eat framework. We need to send more signals to Google and better signals to Google than what the existing competitors are. And so sometimes like that can be super fast, right? It can be now, 3 months is still realistic because, it takes time to build out the content like you said, Ken. But, I think giving realistic expectations to people is really important. So the 6 months doesn't bother me. It's just, hey, sometimes we can knock it out of the park and do it much quicker. And then on the paid side, I would say, that is equally dependent on your competitive marketplace. Because if no one is spending money on ads and you own that auction for the keywords that you're trying to attract, you don't need to spend as much money. The cost per click is going to be lower. The cost per conversion is going to be lower. But yeah, in most of the competitive marketplaces, even in kind of suburban towns outside of a large city, and this is even more so in the large city, but in the suburbs where a lot of our, smaller businesses, dentists, tradespeople exist, the competitiveness of those marketplaces has risen dramatically, especially since COVID, because businesses had time to play some catch up with their digital marketing, and they understood like, heck, we need more leads because things have dried up. We need to start doing the things that we've been aware of for a long time and we've been hesitant to get involved in. We have clients that spend $1,000 per month on ads. We have clients that spend $15,000 per month on ads. It depends on their competitive landscape. It depends on the value of the lead they're trying to capture, right? Like a windows and doors lead is worth, $7,000 to $15,000. A dental lead is worth less, right? A plumbing job to fix a toilet is worth less. So it really does depend on what is the value. The equation needs to be, what is the value of this lead to the business and what are you willing to pay? Because it's only going to get more competitive. But I love this conversation. And just one comment about the A/B testing. We've had clients who suddenly got the idea from someone that we need a heat map. We need to do heat map tracking on our website. And this was for a dental client, right? We need to do heat map tracking on our website to understand if we are actually getting as much conversions out of this and engagement out of this site as possible. And the thing about that is it's not an e-commerce site, right? E-commerce for sure, like you should be tracking like, where are people's eyes? What are they clicking on? If we present this offer above this offer, what happens to conversions. So all of that stuff should be done. But for most local businesses, that kind of stuff is total overkill. And so really, especially if the website's been created properly and calls to actions are done properly, which it was. And so just to satisfy them, we actually put heat map tracking in place for a few months just so we could show them and prove to them that the site was performing well. And so like you need to be smart about this, because sometimes the return on investment of A/B testing or heat map testing, or really it's looking at what's going to raise conversions. We should always be looking at how we can improve that, but you need to weigh the resources, the cost of implementing stuff against the return on investment. And sometimes it's too low, that you just push it aside and you move on and you keep using best practices, right?
Yeah. I want to make a point though about, good to go back to the paid media where you were talking about the value of a deal, and how that may dictate how much you want to be spending. I think it's also important though to figure out, you're talking about window door. That can be multi-day jobs for that $7,000 to $15,000 price range. And if you're fixing a broken toilet, that's not going to be, it's not
Might be an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
But you got to factor in the volume of leads that you can generate as well. So, if you're an emergency plumber, you're going to be able to do a lot more of those 1 hour projects than just the one-time payment that you made. So I just wanted to clarify that doesn't necessarily mean you can get away spending significantly less money just because your transaction value is less. You may need to generate a lot more transactions to make up that total cumulative dollar amount.
Sure. And that's also assuming that you have 100% close rate on every lead you get, right? Like you need to be, so one of the exercises we're doing with one of our clients is we're actually looking at that whole process of, what is happening once a lead comes in. But then also for our listeners to know, meaning what's the ratio, conversion ratio. So when a lead comes in, what's the conversion ratio of when the receptionist answers the phone in moving that sale forward? What's the conversion ratio when they hand it off to a salesperson to do a demo? What's the ratio of the close rate when the demo is being done in the house of the people, right? So all of these are important. But then on the back end, when you're doing the marketing analysis of what is a cost per lead, understanding that, like, yes, there's a cost per click, just looking at Google ads right now, not Facebook ads, because they're different equations. But, when you're looking at Google ads and you're paying a budget per month, and if your budget is say $1,000, regardless of what the cost per click is, if your cost per conversion is $150 or $200, think about how many actual leads those are leads, right? A cost per conversion, assuming that the conversion is a lead, which isn't always the case, by the way, that depending on your business and how it works, like that is the number you should be looking at. Because if it costs you, say, $150, or just keep the math simple, if it costs $100 per conversion, you're only going to get 10 conversions, 10 true leads per month if you spend $1,000 on Google ads, right? If that is indeed the math. Right. So you need to think about that, because it's not this, magical stream of leads without spending money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what this really comes down to is you have to be aware of your competitive environment. If you're a CPA in New York City, you're in a completely different competitive environment than if you're a CPA in, say, Cincinnati. It's two completely different worlds.
Or Gerald, Missouri.
Exactly. Population 10.
Yeah. I think the key thing, the reason that I really wanted to kind of start out with this is just, look, the 6 months average is, you're right. It's absolutely an average. It can be beat, or it can take longer. I just want to try to make sure that, people need to realize this is why you need to be working with a marketing strategist and a marketing expert, because they can help level set the appropriate expectations of whatever channel or channels you're using. And, a lot of people are going to come in and they're going to sell their solution. They're going to make it great. And we've talked in the past about you can come in and you can say, I can get you on the first page of Google. First of all, Google doesn't like it when you say that as a vendor, because you cannot guarantee that. But a lot of people say that. The reality is it could very well be for an obscure keyword phrase that gets zero traffic, so it does you no good. So just keep in mind, make sure you work with somebody who's helping you properly set expectations. All right, now we're going to go into some more things that bug us. Good conversation. I enjoyed that. All right, Paul, since we were talking about paid media and paid ads, I think this dovetails into the subject really well. What are 10 top things that somebody can do to craft offers that are designed to rapidly increase sales? And usually when you're running paid ads, you're trying to find a way to put the foot on the gas and accelerate, the sales and the lead generation.
Yeah, first thing is exactly what you said, is have an offer. There's a lot of people, they run paid media, whether it's Google or Facebook or whatever it is, and they don't have an offer. And if you're running paid ads and you don't have an offer and your competitor does, and your ad and your competitor's ad shows up, which one do you think is going to get clicked on? It's going to be the one with the offer. So understand your target audience, and the offer has to be relevant. It would seem obvious, but if you're a home remodeler and you do basement, kitchen, and bath remodeling, and you're running an ad for bathroom remodeling, the offer shouldn't be for kitchen remodeling. I mean, that seems obvious, but you see it all the time. It happens. And the other thing is, we talk about a unique value proposition. What makes you different than your competitor? And it's not, we offer great customer service. Now, sometimes in some markets that might actually work, because we've all dealt with companies that suck when it comes to customer service. But that's really not a unique differentiator, because everyone's going to say they have great customer service. Have you ever seen a company say, hey, buy from us, we suck at customer service? It does. You're not going to see it. So that's not really a differentiator. So figure out what makes you unique. And something else that we hear a lot about, and I'm not sure I completely agree with this, is urgency. Create a sense of urgency. It's the fear of missing out thing. I don't know. It doesn't work on me. I don't know if anyone's seen the ads lately about, due to limited supply, this may be your last chance to buy this product or service. Yeah, bullshit. You're still going to, 2 years from now, it's still going to be your last chance to buy this product, whatever. So maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't have any data on that. But, and I talked about this a little bit, relevance. Make sure your offer is relevant to your target audience. Whatever. And it's not about you, it's about your target audience. What is their need or their pain point? Figure out what that is and make the offer relevant to that. And we've talked about this before. It's like, and there's different pain points, if you will, like going to a dentist. The internal pain point, if you will, is that it hurts getting my teeth drilled on, so address that.
It's a literal pain point.
It is. It really is.
It is.
And keep the offer simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. Whereas Donald Miller says, if you confuse, you lose.
Exactly. Keep the offer simple, easy to understand. Make sure the terms and conditions of the offer are clear. There's a company that I think is deceptive in their advertising. I'm not going to say who it is, but they have this they advertise an 11% offer, but the reality is it's either a rebate that you have to jump through hoops to send in, or it's 11% off on your next purchase up to a certain dollar amount. It's not really 11% off. And I don't know, Ken, you live in the St. Louis area, you probably know who I'm talking about, but keep your offer simple. And that goes into what I was saying as far as incentives, discounts, things like that. I think those two work together. If you're going to have an incentive, don't make people jump through hoops to claim your offer. It just defeats the purpose. And, you have to choose the right marketing channels. Like we said in the past, if you're an accountant, you should have a Facebook presence, but I don't think you're going to get much from Facebook advertising as an accountant. I don't look for anything on Facebook, but I think most people are not going to go to Facebook if they're looking for an accountant. I mean, I would, even if I was a Facebook user, that's not where I would go to look for a CPA. Maybe people do. I wouldn't. But understand your marketing channels, understand which marketing channels are effective for you, and put your time, effort, and money into those channels. And, timing can be important. If you're a painter that does exterior painting and you're in the northern part of the country, you probably don't want to spend a lot of money in November on paid media for exterior painting. You want to start ramping that up maybe around February, March, depending on where you are, so you can start getting booked up for exterior painting. But you probably don't want to do that in November or December, because you're coming into the cold months where people aren't thinking about exterior painting. So timing can be important, and track and measure what you're doing. And if something's not working, adjust, or maybe it's time to look at a different strategy. So tracking and measuring is important. And follow up. This is something that seems to be non-existent now for some reason. If a customer contacts you, follow up with them. Pick up the phone, call them, respond to them. I mean, that's something that as of late seems to be lacking. We see it a lot in service area businesses. Their follow-up is horrible. Follow up with people. If a customer contacts you and you don't follow up with them, guess what? They're going to move on. And follow-up has to be fast, and fast isn't 3 days. Fast is like minutes. Even if it's an automated, response that, hey, sorry, we missed your call. We talked about this in the past, that the missed call text back. Sorry, we missed your call. Someone will be in touch. At least you have responded to them. So
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on the urgency. I think scarcity and urgency work really well, but they only work well and it all comes down to.
Well, I said it doesn't work for me.
Well, that's true. But, it all comes down to your target audience, and are you articulating value to help them solve a problem that they are having, and you're using your ad as a way to get placement in front of those people as they're having those problems. And so, to make sure that people take fast action, urgency and scarcity can definitely drive faster activity. And then, like you said, follow-up is absolutely critical. I think it's important to let everybody know, too, you guys probably already know this, the response rate of people who engage with your business, I think, has dropped way off. In terms of when you reach out to contact them, don't be surprised that they're not going to contact you back. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're interested. It's just there's been a shift in the way people behave. And they may raise their hand and say, hey, yeah, I'm kind of interested in this. I'm ready. I'm willing to give you my email address or phone number. You follow up immediately with them, contact them. Nothing. I mean, the ghosting level that's going on right now in our society is something that I think every business needs to be prepared to deal with. It's an inconvenient hassle, but I think it is a reality. Again, it's an expectation setting kind of a thing that you may need to generate a whole lot more leads now just to be able to get those people who said, "Hey, I want this," to actually make that purchase. All right, that's just stunned Ian. We've left him speechless. So I'm going to give him a question. I'm going to give him a question about offers. So, what are the most effective types of offers at driving sales, from your opinion?
Sure. Sure. There's lots of options available to the business. Sometimes it depends on how your business is made up. Sometimes it depends, obviously, on the competitive set that you're, the competitive landscape that you're in. I mean, everybody's mind jumps to discounts, right? Percentage off, dollar off. Those are the easiest kinds of offers to think about because we're so used to them. The thing to remember about discounts, and I really don't like percentage off or dollar discounts for most businesses because it devalues your product or service. Because it's what you've talked about time and time again, Ken, about like the dangers of Groupons and WagJags and those kind of things is that like if the only reason that somebody's coming to you is because of a discount, if you're a return business, as soon as that discount is gone, they probably won't come to you. They'll go to the next discounted offer, right? So, and for most businesses, and this includes everything from electricians to dentists to, like, you name it, usually your best customers are not the ones that are price driven. Usually your best customers, unless you're in kind of a discounting type business, and very, very price conscious business, it's all about what you guys have already said. You need to create a value proposition to people that is outside of money, essentially, so that they want your service, not regardless of how much it's going to cost, but that's almost a secondary thing to consider. So discounts for sure is certainly an offer that you can present, but I wanted to share the dangers of that. Limited time offers. Paul talked about how that doesn't, that's not a lever that really works with him, but it is a lever that works with many other people. So creating a sense of urgency that this deal is only offered for a limited time. The key thing to remember about that, because I see this occasionally, I've even had customers that occasionally who have traditionally had an offer like this, that's a limited time offer, but really they reboot it every single month. So how limited time an offer is that? So if you're making it a limited time offer, make sure that it's a legit limited time offer.
So the way that you can handle that is to say there are only 5 available this month.
I've seen that too, and I've seen it backfire as well, because the people they make it such a small number that, and they don't make it an appealing enough offer, that sometimes even using kind of the right equation, right? Because they think it's an equation and not a people thing. Like, remember, it's a relationship thing. You're just trying to push somebody over the edge. Like, they already, all things being considered, they have 2 options, probably more, between you and someone else. And all you're trying to do is incentivize them to choose you over the other option. And so, yeah, I agree, Ken, that can be a way to do it. It just, again, you need to be smart about it and not make it such a mathematical equation that you forget the human aspect of it.
Yeah.
Free trials is a great way to do it if you can, as whether it's a service you provide, and you can offer some sort of free thing. It doesn't have to be a trial, like a demo of your software. If you don't offer software, it could be if you're a software company, but if you're, a free trial could be something as simple as, we offer free consultations to our prospective clients, right? And we're a service-based business. And the reason we do that is it's a way for them to discover the difference that we make versus other types of agencies. Free gifts with purchase. I actually prefer this over the discounting, because give them something as a bonus, because then again, it's not devaluing the product or the service. You're offering something of value to them in addition to getting the service. So examples of this could be something like, a dentist that gives out a really nice electric toothbrush with the first visit. It could be, we used to get this actually with one of the dealerships that we used to take our car to years ago. They used to wash the car every time we took it in for an oil change or some sort of service. And man, that was a really great service that they did. It was kind of a bonus on top of it. So if we were looking at two mechanics and one offered free car washes every time I took the car in and another didn't, that's kind of a free gift with purchase. Bundles and packaging. I think this is probably one of the best ways to present an offer to somebody, because you're not devaluing anything at all. You're actually giving more and more services. And the idea behind this is that you're actually trying to move them up. You're trying to get a greater share of wallet, in that they would actually spend more with you in order to get more services at a combined discount. Right. So you see this all the time in telecom or TV bundles with internet and all that kind of stuff. But those types of things work exceedingly well. Loyalty programs can be a great way to present offers to people, because the more business they do with you, whether it's buying donuts, whether it's coming in for teeth cleaning, whatever it may be, they get points, or they get additional loyalty value for repeat purchasing, that again, you give them something in return for that. Sometimes it's as simple as being entered into a draw more. Sometimes it's if they get so many points, they can get something for that. There's some pretty sophisticated loyalty programs. We've talked about this in the past on this podcast, but where you have point systems, if you get a certain number of points, you get to use those against, whatever it is. I forget the name. Never mind. Like an Apple Watch or something like that, right? And then personalized offers. You can get personalized offers based on what they've done in the past. And these are really, really powerful, because you're connecting with them at where their interests lie. And so that can be one of the most powerful things. And then even referral programs, even though that's slightly different. But if people refer other business to you, you can offer something of value back to them for that. So that's a little bit of a different one, but that's still, some sort of incentivization in order to grow your business. But really, it totally depends on your business. It depends on what you want to do. But again, like I think every business should be looking at these different options available to them and trying something and seeing how it can help them boost their sales by presenting offers to people. And of course, we talk a lot about competitive analysis, but look at what your competitors are offering, because if they're offering something that has a really great incentive and you're not, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage for sure.
One of the things that I think is important is, if you are going to do a heavy discount, like buy one, get one, or 50% off, and you're going after because a lot of businesses, they just need to get the customer in the door, and they need to give them a reason to come in for that first time, and it could be, a salon, it could be a restaurant, it could be places like that. The key is you have to have an upgrade strategy to get them to come back and to come back again. If you get them in there the third time, it becomes a habit. It's not a transaction. And so your goal is to create an incentive program. If you're going to do this with your first offer, maybe to get them in the door. Your second offer needs to be able to get them back in the door. Your third offer, or your third value proposition, whatever it might be, needs to get them back that third time. And then you probably don't have the price shopper just looking for the latest, greatest, cheapest deal kind of scenario. And I think the psychology there is really important. And that gets into follow-up. Most businesses, they don't do a good job of follow-up. They may do an okay job of, while the customer's in, giving them great customer service, but there still needs to be follow-up, which, is absolutely critical. So Paul, I'm going to segue from that into another topic that I know you really don't like to talk about at all, but I'm going to make you talk about it anyway. And that is, why should every small business be using a customer relationship management / marketing automation system?
Oh, it's not that I don't like to talk about it. I just don't understand why they wouldn't. It baffles me. But
It bugs you.
we're already we're going a little long, so I'll try to go through this pretty quick. And we've talked about this in the past, is that it helps you automate your marketing process. And like we talked about the missed call text back, and it can take some of these redundant tasks off of your office staff and automate them. And that makes those people more efficient and more effective. It can, someone fills out a contact form on your website, and they immediately get a response saying, hey, we'll be in touch. You can set up these if else branches in your automations that if the customer responds this way, do that. If they respond this way, do something else. And so I won't get into that, but it can help automate a lot of things. Now, I will say automation is not like the be all and end all silver bullet. You still have to pick up the phone and talk to your customers and prospects.
But automation can help with that too.
It can, but at some point you have to talk to people, I think, and
Right.
it can help, and it can help improve your customer relationships. And goes back to what I said, like the missed call text back. If someone calls, and this is great for service area businesses where they may be out in the field and they can't answer the phone. Someone calls, they immediately get a text back saying, hey, sorry, we missed your call. And that can put them into an automation saying, what can we help you with? What product or service are you interested in? And if you're go back to the remodeler, they say bathroom remodeling. Well, you can have it. Then that can send them into a FAQ automation, if you will, FAQ automation, saying, and ask some questions. Say, okay, what kind of remodeling do you need done? That could be a whole nother topic. But and all this goes back to increased efficiency and productivity, which CRM can do. And it can help you analyze customer behavior, and you can develop targeted marketing campaigns. If you're a painter, for instance, and you did an interior painting for a customer, but you've never done exterior painting, you can use something called tags, where you can develop a list that you can send out a targeted email or marketing campaign to everyone that you've done interior painting for, but have not done exterior painting for. And that's because if you did interior painting for someone a month ago, you don't want to send them an email about interior painting. Okay, that might irritate them. So it can help you create targeted campaigns. And that goes back, it kind of goes into identifying, your sales forecasting. And you have this customer data where you can target, you can segment and target your audience. And that can help you be more competitive, because if your competitors aren't doing any of these things, that gives you a competitive advantage. So all those things, I didn't want to go into detail. I said, I know we're already going long, but a CRM can just improve the overall efficiency and competitiveness of your business. And I don't know why, especially this, the current environment, the competitiveness of the environment that we're in. If you're not using a CRM, you're putting yourself at a competitive disadvantage, unless your competitors are not using a CRM. And I guarantee you that some of them are.
Yeah. The example that I used about, if you're getting somebody to give an aggressive offer to get somebody in the door that first time, one of the best, most effective ways to make sure that you have the follow-up, to send them the second message and the third message and the fourth message to get them to come back the second, third, fourth, fifth time, is to automate it. It makes sure that nothing falls through the cracks, and it builds the relationship.
Leaky bucket syndrome.
What's that?
Leaky bucket syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, if let's say that somebody completes a transaction and you've got great discipline and you say, okay, I'm going to send a review request right away because I know these people were really happy. They just got their solution in place. They send that that review request, nothing happens. Okay, well, if you're logging that transaction was completed, it could be, because you generated your final invoice out of QuickBooks or whatever your accounting system might be. You can set a trigger to say, you know what, I'm going to send a reminder message in 2 weeks just to help make sure that I get better conversion of people when I ask them to write reviews to actually go in and write a review. Statistics show most people want to do that. But if you send it to them right after like you're, 30 minutes after you left, they may be in the middle of watching their kid's soccer game. They may be stuck on the highway in traffic. Who knows what's going on with them? Chances are it's not an ideal time for them to review that. And it's urgent for you. It's not urgent for them. So building automations and doing things smartly, or even sending a message to somebody inside the business to say, hey, this action hasn't taken place and it's been a couple of weeks. You need to pick up the phone and call. You can automate that process to remind your staff and even get it to the point where all they have to do is press a button and the call is being connected. So marketing automation is massive. And every business that I know of, if you're complaining about the fact that you don't have enough people to do the work that you're trying to get done to support the level of clients that you want, here's a newsflash, folks. You need to look at investing in smart marketing automation.
And something, you talked about, it may not be an ideal time for them to leave a review. If you're business to consumer, you can even set windows for when those review requests go out, so that maybe you do it on a Saturday evening or a Sunday evening. They get that review request, which might be a more ideal time than in the middle of the week when they're at work.
Right. Yeah. Ian, I don't think you have any thoughts on CRMs or marketing automation at all, right?
I love them. Get them. Use them.
Exactly.
I mean, here's the thing. Everybody has experienced businesses who fail dramatically at the customer relationship management part. We've all had it. I've dealt with big businesses who obviously have a CRM system, because the last time I spoke to them, they said they were entering my data into that CRM system. But every time I call them, they have the data wrong, or they have no data. Like, you got to use it. You got to train your people on it well. But you also have to choose a good CRM system that's going to take you into the future. But yeah, like I think everybody who's listening on this call and who's talking on this podcast understands that it's all about relationship, right? Unless you're, even if you're a fast serve restaurant, it's about relationship. If you leave a good feeling with those people when they leave, they're going to come back. You have to deliver on the quality of the food, and the same is true with other service businesses and products, right? But especially if it's a long sales process, man, the relationship is even more important, and having continuity in the discussion, because the prospective customer, they will remember everything that was talked about on that call, because they only have one call to think about and one experience, or maybe a couple experiences with a couple businesses to worry about. But your people, they can't retain that information probably, unless they have a photographic memory, and they need a CRM system that's going to support that. So, the contact record pops up when somebody calls in, they can look at it. They can go, oh, here's my notes from the last call. I know what they're talking about. It can make or break a relationship for sure.
Yeah. One last thing about that too is there are so many systems out there that claim that they're a customer relationship management system.
Yeah.
They need to have super strong marketing capabilities. Otherwise, you need a marketing focused CRM. Chances are you've got a system that's great for operational support. It lets you plan out and execute on a project, and keeps track of all your bills and materials and all that kind of stuff. It captures customer data, but it's not really designed and doesn't give you all of the right tools. So again, don't be fooled by that. And also keep in mind that a lot of these systems that are operational systems that claim that they're marketing, they're a closed system, and they do that by design because they know they suck at the marketing aspect, and they don't want to open it up to anybody else because they're afraid that somebody's going to find a different, better solution. And guess what? They're out there. So
yeah, and one of the challenges, I think, Ken, is that it's almost like you need a marketing partner guide who can help you through even just the decision making process, the question asking process of even choosing a tool, a CRM system, because quite frankly, like, unless you know what you're looking for and what questions to ask, every CRM system has a set of bullet points about marketing that if you're not truly in it and understand what they're talking about, you'll just be like, great, it does my marketing. That is fantastic. So it's almost like you need somebody to walk you through a needs analysis. And it would be super helpful to have your marketing partner on the call with the CRM people, whether it's a practice management software or, there's all sorts of service technician softwares out there, but have somebody who knows what to ask and to really dissect the information so that you can come away and have a debrief and go, okay, so they said this, but it can't do this, and this is what you want. So don't get the software.
Yeah. Right. And, I spent a lot of time in my career in the information technology world, and I never did any major enterprise software implementations, like an enterprise resource planning solution, like an SAP or, manufacturing solutions that you drop in, that they've got an accounting module, and they've got, a supply chain management module, and this and that. Those systems, they're designed for probably 70 to 80% of the functionality. I think it's important, to realize there are solutions that are there that can be real value adds to just drop in and implement best practices for your business, through a marketing automation system. There are also times and places where you need to make sure that system is able to be designed to support your business, because chances are the way you do your business, part of that could be what makes you different. And so if you're trying to implement a system that forces you to do stuff in a certain way, and you don't have the ability to customize that to support your business, you may be actually hurting your business. So you really need to think this through. And again, that's a lot of work to go through and figure out all this stuff. And you have to have prior experiences and context to be able to make some of those good decisions sometimes. And so I think that's where, in your point about having a guide, who can take you through this, is just critically important.
Yeah. The other side to it, Ken, goes back to something you said about the connectedness of the software, because there are some softwares, like say you're a dentist or a medical practitioner of some kind, and you have a practice management software. Usually those systems are really, really great at patient management, right? And treatment management. And you need that.
Right.
But a lot of those systems, you need to make sure that the system you choose has an open interconnectiveness. Usually an API is the term that we would use, that allows another system to dovetail with it safely and securely. Yeah. But to be able to share information so that you can then use the power of a marketing automation CRM system with the practice management software system. And that's where, that I think as long as there's an open system of some kind, then you're probably good. But yeah, so many people get caught in closed loop systems and they're stuck.
Yeah, it's so sad to me. All right, Ian, another topic that I know you don't like to talk about at all.
I don't know if we have time to cover this one, Ken.
I am going to make you talk about it. Why do too many small businesses skip developing a marketing strategy, and how does this actually hurt their business?
Yeah, I don't hate this question. I actually love this question.
I know I'm being obnoxious.
Oh, okay, you were being sarcastic. So
I am Mr. Sarcasm today.
All right. So I think businesses skip the marketing strategy part, creating a marketing plan, for a few reasons. The first one I think is critical is that they haven't defined their goals. Like, what do they want to achieve? Like, everybody has like, I need more leads, or I need to, do this, but really defining your goals is really important, because everything you do, every plan you develop, every marketing activity performed should be in
Every
support of
breath you
those.
take.
Every breath you take by the police must be must support the goals that you've defined. So that's a key part of the planning process, is defining your goals, right? So if you haven't done that, you know get planning. The other big thing is, most businesses, especially small to medium sized businesses, don't have dedicated marketing people within the business, or they have people that have some sort of marketing knowledge, but that's not really their core part of their job. And so nobody has really been tasked with developing a marketing plan that incorporates strategies and tactics and goals and responsibilities and all that kind of stuff. And so you really need to make sure that you hire a resource that can help you with that, right? If you don't have that, or you don't have the time for it, hire somebody that can help you. Another reason why small businesses don't invest in marketing planning and strategy is they might not see the immediate value. One of the things that people feel like, especially entrepreneurs, right? We all have this tendency to just keep driving forward, and that's a strength, right? That's what makes us succeed. But it's also negative if we don't work on the business as much as we work in the business. And so a lot of businesses just feel like, what's the flavor of the month? What's this, what's all the hubbub and buzz about? Okay, it's Facebook ads. I got to do Facebook ads. That's what my competitor's doing. Back in the day, we used to see that with websites. Why are you building a website? Because my competitor has a website. Well, that is a good reason, but you need bigger reasons than that. So you really need to, make sure that you understand that, just like when you say you were a military operation, you would plan it out before you actually do any activity. Say you were going on a vacation and it was complex vacation, even if it wasn't too complex, you would plan it out. You would book your hotels. You would, how am I going to get there? You would book your transportation, or determine if your car needed servicing. Whatever it is, it's a plan. But the only reason you have a plan is because you have your goals. And I think another big reason that small businesses don't do the planning part is because they're so focused on the doing of their business. Business operations is tough. You got to satisfy your clients. You got to keep your team running. You got to make sure your finances are up to date. You need to be creating products or services that are competitive in nature. And so prioritizing the marketing planning part is an investment in time and energy. But when it's done and done properly, it actually reaps huge rewards, because you'll be laser targeted on what you need to be doing to produce the goals you want to achieve. But if you don't do that, and I think, you guys would agree with this, we see it all the time, is that we see a lot of businesses using the haphazard approach of, the latest shiny object, or, I'm jumping on this bandwagon, and there's no rhyme or reason to what they're doing. And there's really no integrated framework or strategy to work in. And so they're blowing their brains out on some marketing tactic that doesn't fit, right? There's no plan to it. And so, that's really sad to see. And so don't do that. Take the time, plan it out, get the help you need in order to create a plan that aligns your efforts and produces great results.
So I'm going to say it, or I'm going to ask you to say it. What happens when you get marketing strategy working to where things can amplify and build?
Force amplification.
Or force multiply.
It's a force multiplier. Oh, I got it wrong. So, but it's true.
It is.
And I would even go further in that there's marketing planning and marketing strategy that is done in a way, because I saw this all through my career corporately, that's done in a siloed way, right? Like this year, we're going to focus on this, and this. But what we, the three of us talk about a fair bit is a systematic approach to marketing where, once you have your goals, who your target audience is, what your core message is, you've done the research, you understand how you're going to take it to the marketplace. It's then, okay, what strategies are we going to employ? What are the gears in our marketing engine? And how
Yeah.
can we get those gears working in tandem to actually drive us forward to our goals? And too often you see, I call it the spinning plate syndrome, which is, was it Ed Sullivan or something? I don't know. Back in the day, they used to have these
Yeah.
entertainers that would have poles and they'd spin plates on them. And some of them were amazing. They'd get like 25 plates going, but
Yeah.
eventually the plates would wobble and they'd have to run around and keep those plates spinning.
And that's all they do.
And what we're talking about is don't take that approach. That's a very tiring, ineffective approach. You want to create a marketing engine that's going to produce momentum, exponential results.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in my career doing enterprise resource planning, again on the information technology side, and I equate it to marketing strategy and marketing maturity. Would you? I'm asking our listeners and viewers, would you live in a home that did not have a set of blueprints that were reviewed and vetted by an architect, or had a home inspector come and check it out before you move in? Would you run your business in a building that nobody had ever vetted to make sure that the walls aren't going to collapse in and kill half of your customers? Why are you not doing the same thing with your marketing? It's a system. You have to design it. It has to be vetted. You have to pull the right levers at the right times, using the right channels. And that doesn't happen, accidentally. It happens by design. And it drives me nuts. A lot of people are like, well, I don't want to spend, $5,000 a month on my marketing. And it's like, well, what are you paying for your facility? Oh, well, why are you paying for a facility and not be willing to pay for your marketing? I mean, it's like you're not saving money. You're just shooting yourself in the foot and hamstringing yourself. So I can use a couple of different metaphors, analogies. I'm horrible at that stuff. Anyway, back off my soapbox.
That's a good analogy though, Ken. And one that popped into my head too was, if you're a couch potato and suddenly you decide you want to run a marathon and actually enter into the Olympics, that's your goal. And it's a very aspirational goal, of course, but like you have to set out a plan. Like, how am I going to get there? Am I going to, hop off the couch and start running a marathon? No, like you need to work your way up. You need to eat the right food. You need to stretch.
Right.
You need, support. Right. It takes planning and execution and continual execution and continual measurement in order to get the best out of performance for any type of thing.
Yeah. And you open yourself up to the whims of the people within your business. You're exposed to what we referred to as heroism in the information technology world. You may have somebody who's the greatest coder on the planet who could go in and fix any piece of code. Guess what? They decide they're not going to show up tomorrow, or they take a new job, they're hit by a bus, whatever. Can your organization sustain? Can it continue to survive? Maybe. What happens a couple of days later or a week later, if you don't have systematic, set of things in place, you're exposing yourselves to potential catastrophic failure. And, I think it's a lot of times small businesses survive off the cult of the personality of the person who founded the business. And, they keep hitting a wall because they can't grow any further or any more, because there's only so much that person can do. Again, when you have a marketing plan and a marketing strategy that's driving, all of your marketing, you're helping to alleviate and protect your business against those things.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, I was gonna say, I think part of it is years ago, probably not deliberately, social media conveyed this idea that marketing is free. And now they've all tried to move, they're all moving to this pay to play model because they have to make money. You know, even a comrade has to make $1. And I think that's where this reluctance to pay for marketing strategy, because years ago it was like, well, I can just post stuff on Facebook or do this or that on social media and it doesn't cost me anything, but it doesn't work. And now it's, if you're not paying, your content isn't being seen.
I would echo that. I would also add even beyond that, Paul, because here's an analogy I've seen over and over and over in the years that I've had my own business, is that when the web first became booming, right? People wanted to build websites. They would see your price in your quote, and I would say maybe like 10 to 15% of them would be like, I have a nephew that can do this, or I have I'll figure it out myself, because it was such a new thing and it was undervalued. And I think that's the key part, is that if you value the results that you want to get, and you understand that that can make or break your business by creating a marketing plan and get you to your goals and free you in ways that you didn't know were available as a business owner, I mean, the equation becomes very simple then. But if you keep thinking it's just something I have to do, it's overhead, it's not an investment, then you're going to run into that monetary devaluation of the service, essentially.
My nephew can turn on a computer. He's a genius.
Good for him. All right. Well, we're at an hour, so we're going to wrap this one up today. Thanks for joining us. For those who are watching live, I want to make sure that you realize we're going to be moving this to 10 a.m. Central, 11 Eastern on a regular basis moving forward. So make sure you adjust your calendars for that. I know you're anxiously awaiting each and every episode that we do, but we really do appreciate again, the sarcasm's creeping in. I don't know. But we do appreciate your listenership, and we would love to have your input and your reviews of our podcast and any topics or ideas that you have for us. And with that, Ian, you want to take us out?
Sure. Until next week, folks, keep calm and mark it on.